preparing, it says. All right, it says we're live on Facebook. So welcome everybody to another awesome web meeting of NowCerts Happy Hour. I'm Jonathan Allred, the Chief Operating Officer of NowCerts, and my co-host here. There you go.
I'm Caden Stevens, Head of Customer Support.
And we have a special guest for tonight, Josh Hinman from Capsule 5 and Renew King. Welcome, Josh.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you, and it's really great that we've established a partnership between NowCerts and Renew King. I think it's very exciting. It's something we're really looking forward to, and glad to have you on here and glad to talk a little bit about the program.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, so let's start out a little bit. I know a lot of people that go to a lot of conferences have probably met you and talked to you and spoke to you about Renew King and Capsule 5 and whatnot. But let's talk about a little bit about yourself before we dig into the good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a husband and father of 3 little crazies who are somewhere on the other side of my office door right now. I think my wife is containing them for this interview. But I've got a 6-year-old son, a 4.5, almost 5-year-old son, and a daughter who turns 2 in about 2 weeks. So that is where I spend a ton of my time when I'm not just working on the business and working with clients and things like that. I live in Arizona, been here for almost 10 years, originally from Colorado, and I've spent some time on the other side of the country and in Florida, but we have kind of planted ourselves in Arizona and love it down here in the Southwest. So that is a little bit about me, my family, personal life. I have been working with small businesses for a little over a decade as well, and just kind of fell in love with small business with an opportunity I had to grow with a really small company that ended up growing and moving across the country. And I got to see all of the dark, dirty areas of small business and just kind of discovered that I had a knack for getting into chaotic situations and being able to just look at things in a linear way and create good processes. So that's where I kind of got involved with small business, and the owners of the company would just kind of send me from this place to that place and say, hey, we need some organization down there. And so awesome. That was kind of my first jump into small business. Yeah. So now, those are the early days and kind of got what got me started.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Now, being in small business, you weren't directly related to insurance at that time, or were you?
No,
Okay.
No insurance background necessarily. I went from small business into more software after having a sales job actually with a startup that was using Infusionsoft to sell, and they were trying to figure out the software. So it was kind of like every man for himself as we were going through that process. But I started using that tool there and started just kind of like figuring out a little bit about automation and how sales and marketing systems work together. So that was kind of my little intro into software.
Awesome. So what landed you in the insurance space? How did you go from doing what you're doing into insurance? Because everybody that's been involved in insurance, we all have that story, how we ended up in insurance, right? So how did you get here?
Yeah, it's usually by accident or being handed down. So without ever having been an agent, so I've never been an insurance agent, but my kind of road in started when I had gotten to the point where I started my own agency for sales and marketing consulting and was working with different small businesses. And I ended up playing basketball. So here in Arizona, there are a handful of agents, and a couple of them are local to me that I kind of know, and a couple of them started the IAOA, so the group and the conference that runs annually. So I was playing basketball with Grant Botma, and we had been playing this like kind of old man's league for a couple of years. And one day we just started talking about business, and he was like, look, I'm actually looking to do a bunch of stuff. I've got this whole kind of like customer journey mapped out, and I need some help getting it done. And I was like, oh, that's kind of what we do. So it was really just a relationship that started there. And then, he was basically like, look, there are so many agents that need help with this stuff. There's so much opportunity. So many people are looking for better tools and better ways to do things and save time. And so everything really started with a conversation and doing some work with Brent, and it just kind of boomed from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All it takes is one conversation, and then it totally changes your life. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. The thing is I came from an IT background, a technical background. I ended up in insurance, and one thing that we definitely share in common is the love and the passion for automation. And it kind of boils down for me. I'm being technical. I'm a big process guy. So I like things when they are efficient and they're effective. They save time, and usually when you save time, you save money. So I like to be able to go in and see something and say, you know what, we can make this better, we can make this faster. And just to clarify, you've never been an agent. You're not an actual agent, licensed agent, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, never been an agent, never been a licensed
And there's
agent.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But one thing that I can tell you, when I started my agency a couple years ago, now that I'm with NowCerts, it's not really active anymore. But one thing that was the biggest key for me is I had to figure out two things. How do I do X, Y, and Z, and how do I do it without including me, right? So I figured out one of two things. Either I'm going to pay the time to do whatever it is I need to have done, or I'm going to pay the money. And it gets to a point in an agency where it's better to pay the money, because you can actually pay less and be more efficient with your time. And a lot of that has to do with automation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a small business principle. You've got two currencies that we deal with as small business owners: our time and our money. And if we're not spending our time in the things that we're good at and the things that we should be doing, and this is obviously for me as well, then I'm wasting my time doing things I shouldn't be doing. Like, I shouldn't be building my own website if I'm not a web designer. I shouldn't be writing email copy if I'm not a copywriter and that's not a natural gift. And for me personally, I shouldn't be handling my books and my accounting, because my brain doesn't operate on that side of the world. So when I started my business, one of the very first things I outsourced was bookkeeping and accounting. And it was actually kind of scary, because it was like a pretty decent monthly cost. But it was the best decision I ever made. Was
Absolutely.
like, yes, let me not have to worry and stress about that, so that I can focus on what I do well.
At the end of the day, there's only so many hours in a day. So how are you going to spend your time? When I was building my book of business, I'll tell you that it got to the point to where I couldn't do everything that I was wanting to do at that particular time. I mean, I was sending out handwritten cards, sending out personal emails, I just didn't have enough time. I was tired at the end of the day. And one of the best things that I ever got involved with is automation. And automation's really helped, and has really gotten to the point to where, it's doing things for me that I don't have to do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to expend energy on it. And things are getting done that are very important to my agency. Emails, text messages, so on and so forth. So anyway, we've talked a little bit about automation. We talked about a little bit of things that can really help out agencies. So let's dive in a little bit about Renew King. So can you tell us a little bit about Renew King? Basically, what's the advantages of using Renew King over just doing everything yourself? I mean, in other words, what is going to be the if somebody comes to you and says, Josh, I need you to help me, what are you going to do, and how is it going to help that agency? Yeah.
And I think before we jump directly into Renew King, it would help to clarify as well kind of where we focus our efforts. So before Renew King, which is a newer product / service that we provide, my agency, which is Capsule 5, which has been around for 5, 6, 7 years now, I think, working with agents for about 5 years. My agency has always focused on two things, and it's been follow-up and automation in the sales process. So helping agencies and other small businesses really dial in sales and automate follow-up and save time in sales. And then the second side of things has always been in customer relationships. So once a sale is complete, what do we do to engage our customers and start an onboarding process and really start looking at the customer experience and the customer life cycle as a whole. So there are definitely other pieces of small business that can be automated, and there are all the other things that we have to tackle as small business owners. But our lane where we focus with Capsule 5 is helping agencies set up sales systems like Pipedrive and Infusionsoft and some of those more upfront sales and marketing systems. And then, so in doing that, as we were doing that for the first few years, and as we were building those things out, which you and I talked about that when you were running your agency, we talked about, what are the values and how does that help an agent? In doing that, we had so many agents tell us, hey, like this is part one of what I need, but part two of what I need is something to tackle my customer follow-up. I need to stay engaged with them. They need to hear from me more often. I need to do something about cross-selling. And so we started just putting together these really cool automation systems and handing them over to agents. And they would be like, yes, this is amazing. And then 6 months later, they'd come back to us and say, I know I have a bunch of stuff happening. I don't really know what it is. And it's just a little bit much for me to manage myself. I'm over here, I'm a sales guy by nature. I need to be selling, and we have all these inbound service requests that dominate our time. So I don't have time to like deal with this client marketing system that you built for me. And so we had a few agents that were just like, hey, what would you guys just like run this for us, something like this for us? And if so, what would that look like? So our team basically looked at the opportunity to go, okay, like this is what we actually really like to do. We like to write email copy. We love to run these systems. And if we could do it and take it off the plate of the agency owner, then that could be a real value to an independent agent who is bombarded with inbound requests on this side from service and inbound leads on this side and sales on top of just running a small business and managing a team. So the idea for Renew King was spawned out of necessity, and it was spawned out of client feedback that we received. So when we set up Renew King, we looked at all of the feedback and all of the conversations that we've been having with insurance agency owners. And we looked to solve three really specific problems. And the first one was, how do I just like kick off everything with a really solid experience? And what should I do right after the sale closes? So we decided like, you have a small window of opportunity here to engage your customers and do something for them, and maybe even ask something of them before they're on to their busy life. So one of the first things that we set out to do was survey your new customer, make sure they had a fantastic experience. And if they did, ask them to leave you a review on Google. And so step one is generating more Google reviews. And that's something that every single local small business, you guys know this, every local small business should be focused on. And whether it's through a service like Renew King, or you building those processes in somewhere, we should be driving more and more Google reviews, because so much of the population focuses on Google and consults Google to figure out where they should do business, right?
And it's quite interesting you talk about that. And even Cadence sees it. We just recently, I say recent, like maybe a year and a half ago, started focusing on Google reviews. And before I was just getting into insurance, I had a friend who's a chiropractor, and she's like, leave me a review on Google and help me out here. And I'm thinking, how's that going to help you out, right? I mean, not really thinking about it. Then of course it's the big Amazon thing, right? People want to read the reviews. Is it a good product? Is it a good service? And the thing is a lot of agencies and a lot of businesses think you have to maintain that 5.0, right? You don't have to maintain the 5.0. Right? You can't make everybody happy. If you do get that customer that's not happy, that leaves you a 1-star, it's hit or miss. Sometimes they're in the wrong, sometimes we're in the wrong, whatever the case may be, but very, very important. I've had many clients reach out to me and said, I'm reading you on Google review and I like the reviews, and I'm like, wow. So, and they're free, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a free service, and all it takes is a little bit of effort to utilize it.
And time, right? That's where the automation comes into place.
Exactly.
One thing that I really like about automation, Josh, and I'll hand it back to you and you can talk a little bit about Renew King, is the fact that, it boils down to communication, right? So communication takes time, but we live in the technology age. We have computers, we have programs that, can do these things for us. And the best part is it's going to be a lot less expensive than hiring somebody to just send out emails on our behalf or,
Yeah.
or marketing and that sort of thing. Caden, what do you think in NowCerts, the automations that we have, set up? I mean, how much time do you think it saves us?
Oh, so much. I mean, before it was like manual emails after everything I did. Now it just automatically goes through. It's awesome. It really is
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
And to be really honest with you, I can tell you at NowCerts, one of my favorites is after someone goes through a trial, they get an automatic email at the end. So what did you think? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? And it looks like it comes from me. And you know what? The message comes from me. I may not have been there physically typing it, but it came from me.
Yeah.
And I'm so surprised how many times, because I just say, hey, let me know how it is. Hit reply and tell me. And I get a good return on that automated email. They hit your reply and they say, system's great, we want to move, or hey, it wasn't as great because of XYZ, but may have been a training issue, an onboarding issue, whatever the case may be. Sometimes just by a simple phone call or an email can save an account, right?
Yeah.
And it costs me nothing, very little. So anyway,
absolutely.
Automation is a wonderful thing. It really did a lot in my agency, and it really does a lot in NowCerts, which is it's a great thing. So let's move on and let's talk a little bit about Renew King. I know we're going to be talking about a webinar that you're going to be having, people that can get more in depth with it. So just give us a quick review of it, and just touch on some bases that an agency owner can expect, and kind of the value in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and even going back to what you said about automation and some of the satisfaction of automation is really just relief. And I think agency owners, when I talk to them, most of the pains that agency owners have are related to a couple of things. One is just knowing that things are happening in their agency. And the relief of knowing that things are getting done without relying on, humans to remember, first of all, without knowing, because you know that at some point fires are going to happen and you're going to have to come over here and put them out, and knowing that things are still happening without you actually pressing the buttons, or you writing that email, or you handwriting that card, or whatever it is, the things that were easy to do early in your business when you only had 10 customers, make it really hard to do as you grow. Knowing that those things are happening and that they're happening to your satisfaction as the owner, because your name is on the business, is just provides relief for all of us. So again, one of the big things that people would tell me is we just feel too reactive. Everything we do is reactive. We're putting fires out over here. We've got tons of stuff happening over here, and we're not doing anything to be proactive. And this is like, those two words were resounding in so many conversations. So even the name of my webinar is going from reactive to proactive, and just a bunch of ways that we can move the needle in small ways to make ourselves and our businesses more proactive. So one of the first things I mentioned is generating more Google reviews, having a great experience, and even being able to take, you mentioned negative reviews being left, but being able to maybe even mitigate a review being left by asking the question, are you satisfied? And letting someone respond in a survey. That keeps our Google review rating pristine at 5.0, and it still allows an agency owner to solve problems if they come up in the sales process. So that's step one. The other two things that came up were, number two was just ongoing communication. One of the ways that agency owners feel so reactive is just in keeping their customers engaged. Insurance is one of those things that I can honestly say as a consumer, like, I'm glad I have it, but once I have it, I'm good to go. And so how do I remember my agent's name? How do I, remember to mention you when one of my friends has a question about insurance, or when I see a post on Facebook, someone asking for recommendations? So that was the next problem that we looked to solve, was customer engagement. And the way we solve it is just in fresh, good, valuable content that goes out on a regular basis to our clients, to the agency owners, customers. And the way we tackle that is we write a content plan every year. So we put together for this year the 2020 content plan. We lay out what the calendar is going to look like. It's usually around 12 to 14 emails that are all topical. Some of them are going to be around the holidays. Some of them are going to be just about things that humans need or want to talk about. Budgeting. What are the apps on the marketplace that can help me budget? How do we hit our goals? You know, in January, everyone's thinking about hitting goals. So we send out an email that said, here are 3 apps that can help you track and hit your goals for this new year. So it's not everything doesn't always have to be insurance related. And you should sound like the expert to your clients in your field. But when you can just provide value that is general and that will get people to open your emails when you send them, that's the kind of engagement that we want as small business owners. And so that's what we do. We also do birthday emails and things like that. But the second part was just providing value on a regular basis and having that come from a team that, again, enjoys copywriting. We'll look at the results. We will look at the open rates. We'll look at the click-through rates. We'll rewrite the subject lines for the next email and the next year. And so it's kind of like having a marketing team that is pursuing your customers on your behalf. So that's kind of like phase 2 of what Renew King does, and the second problem that we set out to solve for agency owners. And then lastly, the last one, and this one was, it was so many times that I had heard this said from different agency owners, was my book of business is a gold mine. And it always came up when we talked about cross-selling and renewals and how, you know, you spend so much time getting that first policy sold or those first couple of policies, but there's still tons of opportunity within your book of business to cross-sell, to take your monoline policyholders and offer that next line. But what there isn't a lot of is time or manpower or solid processes within the agency that bring those opportunities out throughout the year and throughout the customer lifecycle. So, so we tackle that in 2 ways. One is at renewal, it's a very natural time for you to discuss other policies that could be of value to your client. So, so we have cross-selling campaigns that basically start around renewal. And what we like to do is target your monoline policyholders, especially for personal lines. We've got some content that we've developed for commercial business as well, but especially for personal lines. If you have a homeowner's policy coming up on renewal and you don't have the auto, it's like super low-hanging fruit. So we 60 days out, start the communication, 45 days, we've got another email. Hey, you know, we take a look at your account with us and we realize we've got this, but not that. And this is a great time for us to talk about it. If you'd like to set up a chat, click this link, make it as easy as possible for your customers to engage and say, yes, I would love to have that conversation with you. And our goal in all of that is to just generate cross-selling opportunities. You know, the agents have to, they're the sales reps, they're the ones that are going to close the deals. We're trying to lay up opportunities for them to grow from within and grow their book of business, not by all the hard work that it takes to add new clients, but by increasing the value of their existing client base. So that is kind of one way that we handle it. And then the other way is just good old fashioned marketing campaigns throughout the year. So actually right after Memorial Day coming up, we are going to be running our life insurance cross-sell campaign. And this year we've changed our content. Obviously our plan didn't account for COVID-19. And so we've changed some of that content up and we've consulted our clients and said, hey, what do you think would be valuable for your customers to hear? And then we've gone and rewritten new content. But throughout the year, there are also some natural times where you can just go, hey, I'm going to run a 2-week campaign. We're going to focus on life insurance. Everybody's talking about that right now. You know, we have some clients who have said, you know, our life insurance premiums have increased 40% over the past month. It's something that's on people's minds. So why not be proactive and educate them about life insurance and who it's for and what the value is, and then make it really easy for them to set up a conversation with you. So we do that for life insurance. We do it for umbrella insurance. Again, we're creating some other campaigns for other policy types that our clients know that would be valuable and are kind of low-hanging fruit for their agency. So cross-selling is kind of that final thing that we said, hey, if we can solve these 3 problems for our customer base, and if we can do it in a way that is so done for you that our clients don't have to, you know, manage these campaigns, they don't have to log in and press a button and make sure things are sending once, you know, on their own. But there is some of that availability, or there are some features that allow them to control some of that, then it's a win-win situation. So they can, again, have that peace of mind knowing that things are happening behind the scenes, their customers are hearing from them, they're engaged, and the agency owner and the agency team can continue to focus on what they do best. So that was a long answer, but those are the
was
three
awesome.
things
That
that,
I was about
we
to tell Caden, I think I've met my match, because everybody knows here at NowCerts, I really like to talk.
You've met your match. You've met your match.
I can talk up a storm. Let me tell you, Caden's like, yeah, he can. It's no joke.
But I'll be quiet now. That's it.
That was very
That's
useful.
everything
That was
Renew King
awesome.
does.
No. You know, I was sitting here taking notes, and you brought up so many awesome points. And let me go back here a couple things. So
Sure, I'll take a drink.
Yeah, there you go. Take a break for a while. Take a break. So one thing you mentioned was talking about, you know, cross-selling life insurance and talking about low-hanging fruit and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've realized by being in insurance is one of the best or the best business that you can have and get is the business you already own, and that's cross-selling. That stuff. I mean, you know, if you really think about it, you know, I'm sure that there's agency owners out there that have boats, they have toys, they have different things that they could insure, or maybe it's insured with someone else. They just have things out there that you don't know about. And, you know, those automated emails could really help bring out things. One of the things I thought about when I had my agency is every year sending out something saying, you know, what happened to you this year? Did you get a new roof? Did you get a new RV? Did you get something new? And you would be really surprised at the responses. Yeah, we forgot to tell you that. Oh yeah, we got a new roof, or, you know, which could really affect their rates, right? I mean, you get a brand new roof and your old roof's 15 years old. Now you just dropped a few $100s on your premiums. So that's definitely a good thing. A life insurance, definitely during this time, I've had some of my friends reach out to me. One of the easiest and best policies to write. You write it, you're done, you're finished. You don't have to service it or anything like that. One of the things I've talked to some of my friends who are agency owners, and one of the things that they tell me a lot of times is, you know, I wish I had more time to talk to my clients. Well, here it is, automated emails, things that you can, you know, you want to tell everybody that you don't have to do anything to. You just, what's that Ronco saying? Set it and forget it, right? Right? Let it go. And then another point that you talked about is human error. When I was first starting an agency, and I was dabbling in automation even before I really knew much about automation. And one of the things that I was trying to do before I was even before I had NowCerts with an agency management system is I wanted birthday emails. I would set calendar reminders saying, hey, in 5 days it's such and such birthday. So I'd run out and get a card and, you know, spend a lot of time, burning a lot of time doing these things. And you mentioned, you put out the fires, you're reactive. What happens? Something went down and I missed somebody's birthday. I didn't send them out a card. I didn't send them out an email. I didn't call them. I really felt like a terrible agent. Not that I, you know, didn't want to, I was just too busy. And my very first automation, you know, I had a program that all it did was send out a birthday card, or sorry, birthday email, happy birthday. That's all it did. And at this point in time, all my prospects and all my clients, it was all about the birthday. It's just one less thing I'd have to do. They still heard from me. It was still a touch point. And it was very important. Then the second one I would end up getting business from was sending out, you know, whatever holiday email. We're going to be closed, you know, Memorial Day, you know, we are, you know, celebrating the, you know, our past veterans and for their sacrifices, so on and so forth. 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, all the holidays in between. I've had people come back to me that I tried to quote, I couldn't win their business, and say, hey, can you give me a quote? You know, give me another quote. I really appreciate you, keeping in touch with me. It's not me, it's the automation. But again, it's saving myself a whole lot of time. So I think that's really important. And you know, I'm really happy. I know Kate and everybody else is at NowCerts. We're really looking forward to this partnership, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to invite you on. I don't see anybody have any questions right now, but I'm sure that'll come, and I'll make sure that they get the answers. So I did put in the links here. You're going to be having a webinar, which is kind of going to go a little bit more in depth to what we're talking about today with automation and how an agency can save themselves a lot of time and money and effort to be able to reach out and have those touch points we discussed. That's going to be on May 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. I'm sorry, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and I've got the link there. So I guess the question, one of the last questions I have for you is, um, and this is probably something you're going to discuss in the webinar. So I'll just ask this, but um, I guess the big question people ask is, what can I really expect?
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of things, and I guess just give us a couple brief ways where you would see the results. Obviously,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to spend money and they know that something's happening, where would they see the results to say, you know what, it's well worth my money?
Yeah, definitely. And there are a couple of metrics that we track that are easy to track, and then there are some of them that are definitely more difficult to track. Retention. If someone's hearing from you and they're reminded that you're their agent and you're providing value, and they don't leave to go to Geico or whoever else is trying to get their attention, that's something I can't track. But we kind of all know in the back of our minds that, all right, I need them to be hearing from me. I need to be providing value. Otherwise, I could lose my customer. Some of the most immediate ROI that we see when people sign up, and this is so fun for me every single time, but some of the most exciting things that happen are when we sign up a new customer, a new agent, and they send us their book of business. They say, here's everybody. We're going to, we want them to start hearing from us. One of the first things we do is we run what we call a review booster. And it's because we send a survey out to their book of business. And it is sometimes it's a engagement that their customers haven't heard from them in who knows how long, but it's a touch point, and it's just, hey, we're super thankful that you're one of our clients, and we want to make sure we're doing a good job. And would you take a minute just to take this quick 1-question survey? And when they do that, just like we do with new customers who are onboarding for the first time, if they leave positive feedback, we send them to Google. And we've seen agencies go from single-digit Google reviews and maybe 3.9 stars or something. Somebody left a 2-star review, whatever. We've seen them go from there to 60, 70, 80, once even 95 5-star reviews in
awesome.
Under a month. So when you look at like the landscape of Google reviews and Google My Business, and you search an agency's area, usually you're going to see a handful of agents in the local area that are focused on Google reviews, and they're actually doing something to generate them. And then you're going to see tons of agents that have trickled reviews, 3, 4, 5, 12, something like that. So for an agent to kind of jump the rest of their local competition just by doing this review booster is fantastic. We've had stories come out of that where I had a guy who we ran his review booster, and he happened to be going on vacation for the next couple of weeks.
Not anymore.
Yeah, he'll remember this. It was Christian Yantis at Yantis John's Insurance, and in a smaller town in Texas. And he was like, I just started getting calls. Like, I'm on vacation, but I'm getting calls, and it's people going, hey, I saw your reviews and I wanted to reach out. And so those types of stories happen all the time within the first 30 days. So that's like immediate ROI that we see, even for agencies who have focused on generating reviews. Brandon Smith at Glidewell Insurance, GIIG in Montana, he already had over 100 reviews when he left another software and moved over to Renew King. And we ran the booster, and we took him from like 107 to 204 reviews within a matter of weeks as well. So,
wow.
So it's just one of those really fun things. It's exciting because it actually creates new business and new opportunities for these agents. So I would say that's one of the first things that we see when it comes to ROI. And then the rest of it is kind of the long play, when it comes to running those cross-selling campaigns.
And it's quite interesting. And I mentioned before my friend's who's a chiropractor, and she wanted me to leave her a Google review. I'm like, what's all this about? But we really don't think about it in our own business. But what's the first thing we do if we go to somewhere new, right? And this is just you're out on vacation. I'm hungry. What are we going to go eat? You first thing you do is, what restaurants are in my area? And the first thing I asked my wife, I said, what's the review? Right? Oh, it's got 300 reviews and it's a 4.7. I'm like, let's go. Right?
Exactly.
But if you got a place that's got 2 reviews, you're not going to look at it. And to be honest with you, that's you mentioned reviews, and that was one of the biggest things that I did was really start pushing reviews to my agency. And being the new kid on the block, I was surpassing agencies that have been around forever. They just didn't do anything with reviews.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not only that, but one thing that I'm sure you'd probably mention is one thing that you have to do when it comes to reviews is if you get a review, respond to it.
Yep.
You know, take a minute and just say, hey, thanks for, you know, even if they just leave 5 stars, don't say anything. So just say, thank you for the review. We appreciate it. If they go a little more in depth, then you can talk a little bit more about, you know, their experience and whatnot. You know, thank you for, you know, letting us take care of your insurance, so on and so forth. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's a big deal. That's a big deal. People just like you and I will look at the reviews first. And if we see negative reviews, we'll look to see how did the business respond.
Correct.
Right? How did
And
they
what
respond?
it was about.
Yeah.
That's actually a
exactly.
pet peeve of mine. I mean, a lot of people shop on Amazon and you'll look at a product and they get a 1-star review and it'll say product was damaged in shipping. What does that have to do with the product?
Yes,
right?
I know.
So I don't
Yeah.
pay no attention. So,
Yeah.
you know, people are people. So I think if you have 5 stars and you have 300 reviews, you know, people are going to start to wonder, is this place really real? You know?
Yeah. Well, it means that you're putting effort into it, and it means that people are willing to. What it tells us is a couple of things. It means, number one, if you ask people for a review, they're actually likely to leave you one. This is one of the things that a lot of small business owners think too, is that people, I don't want to bother my clients. You know, we just did this thing. I don't want to bother them, but you're not actually bothering them. You're saying, hey, did we do a good job? And if so, would you let some other people know? And it's something that people can do in 60 seconds. And if you just ask,
and the thing
they'll
is,
actually do
you
it.
may think it's cheesy, or you may think, oh, they'll never do it. People will do it. You just don't know who they are. You're going to have clients, and then you're going to have fans. You know, you're going to have fans that are really, really into your product.
Yeah. And those are the ones that you want to focus on. You want to focus on that.
Absolutely.
So I won't get into it now, but that's some of the stuff that's upcoming with Renew King. That's actually going to be a little bit more fun as we continue to develop our own platform, is client engagement and identifying those highly engaged prospects that are or clients that are really your advocates in your business, and figuring out how do you communicate with them different than someone who's not engaged. So there's some fun stuff coming there that I won't go down that rabbit hole right now, but yes, all the things you're talking about for sure.
Actually, Brooke just left a comment, so we'll answer her question. She said, "Do you respond to the review on the Google review or via email?" To me, if it's a positive review, just respond to it. Thank you for leaving a review. You know, thank you for your business or whatever they're talking about. If it's negative, you do both. In my opinion, you know, if somebody leaves you a negative 1 star for some reason, you know, again, maybe you were putting out fires and there was just too many fires and you didn't have enough water and you got a 1-star review, you know, apologize. And sometimes you'll get reviews from people that have nothing to do with your business. You can even say, I'm sorry, I just don't see you as a customer here. You know, please give me a call and we can discuss this. Or if you do get a negative review that's legitimate, you know, reach out by email. Try to make somebody happy. So hopefully that answers your
and Google My Business. I actually go into some of these tactics that you can use on the webinar, and we have some other resources that we provide for this, but there are certain things that you can do. Google My Business is, like you said, it's a free app. You can download it on your phone. You can log into it on your computer, and when someone leaves you a review on your Google My Business listing, you'll get a notification on your phone that says so-and-so just left you a review, and you can literally click it open and respond just like a text message. So you don't have to go back and find them in your book of business or find their email and communicate with them. Google My Business makes it really easy to communicate, provide feedback, answer questions, that type of thing right there. And then again, mitigating that negative review from going to Google by the use of a survey allows you to jump in and intervene before they even get to the point of reaching Google to leave negative feedback. So that's always my recommendation. A lot of people say, hey, I just sent out an email and it says, would you leave me a review? But a survey has the power to allow you to solve problems before they show up for the rest of the world to see. So so hopefully that's a little bit of insight. So Google My Business, you'll want to jump in and manage your listing and make sure all the hours and everything are correct, but that's where you also respond to people and take care of comments.
Oh, that's awesome. That really is awesome. No, it's awesome how, I mean, you said earlier, I mean, you guys have already adapted to COVID and everything. I mean, that's powerful. I mean, something happened that changed the world and you guys are already changing what you were doing to address that. I mean, that's a huge tool to have in any agency. That's really is great.
Yeah, and it actually affected Google reviews for a few weeks as well. Like Google stopped publishing them and people were freaking out, and
Yeah.
it was hard to know what Google was doing. And I think just this past week they started publishing again. So the good news was Google was still collecting reviews. So we told our clients, hey, don't, like, nothing is changing. You're still going to survey. People are still going to Google and can still leave a review, but their team wasn't publishing them for a while. So there was, there's some panic in the air about that. What do you say to people at this time? Those are some of the things that, when you've got a million other things to handle as a small business owner, it can be really nice to have a team that's kind of almost thinking for you, at least in this one small area of your business, and helping you provide value to your customers and to your clients.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Yeah.
So one thing that we haven't talked about, which is, kind of while we're here, we're talking to all of our NowCerts users in the Facebook group, and I'm sure some of them are probably watching that are not NowCerts users. But how does your product integrate with NowCerts? So they're probably wanting to know, what's this integration like, and kind of what has to happen in NowCerts, and then where does Renew King take over? Because obviously one of the things that everybody hates, even me, is that double data entry, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I doctors probably hate me. If I ever go to the doctors and I have to fill out a new form, if it's telling me to put my name and address in 3 different places, I just put a line through it. I mean, you got it on page 1. I'm not doing it again, right? And that's what a lot of people, is a big complaint. Nobody likes to put in data more than one time. So what can NowCerts users expect? How does our system relate to Renew King?
Yeah, so I'm actually finishing up a blog post right now about what I love about NowCerts. And one of the things that I think makes you guys so unique is that the platform wasn't created the same way that all these other agency management systems are, to be very closed off and we're going to do everything and don't go over here, don't go over there, and you can't have your data. So in speaking with you early on, Jonathan, and with Peter, I realized really quickly that NowCerts was going to focus on what customers want, and that is an open platform that allows them to use the tools that they want to use to run their business and still have somewhat of a seamless user experience when it comes to NowCerts. So the fact that you guys are on Zapier, and the fact that you're working with companies like ours to help your customers solve problems is first and foremost fantastic, and that's one of the things that got me so excited to work with you guys. But as far as just the technical side of how does Renew King work alongside of NowCerts, it's the key trigger point and the area where there's typically double data entry for some of our other clients who are using other systems is that new sale, right? So we all want to kick off that onboarding experience. We want that first survey to go out, and once that happens, the rest of what Renew King does is pretty hands-free. There are some things that you'll need to help us with when it comes to cross-selling to make sure that we've got current information. But the very first thing that happens is if you have a brand new insured that comes into NowCerts and they're identified as a new insured, then with this integration, Renew King will automatically kick off the welcome experience. It'll send out that survey. We send out a text message and an email, and whichever one they respond to first kind of stops that series of follow-ups that happen after that. But that's something that you just no longer have to do. It would be another form fill where you're coming into Renew King and saying, here's a new client, name, email, phone number, and then clicking send, which isn't that big of a deal. But like we've already mentioned, there's time. And every single time you're doing that, or every single time that maybe someone's supposed to do it and forgets, that there's a riff in the system there. So we love it when we can integrate with either a sales platform or, very rarely, but with you guys, the agency management system, because now the owner doesn't have to worry about that. And it doesn't have to be built into your internal processes. When we do this, you have a ton of other things that you're already worried about. So that's really the key. And there's nothing that NowCerts users have to do when they sign up for Renew King. We're going to build it out. We're going to handle everything behind the scenes. And we're going to set it up so that when you guys identify a new insured, they're seamlessly moved over into Renew King and everything starts from there.
Yep, I will tell you, something is, I know we've been talking for a few years now, and me as an agency owner now, me working at NowCerts here is, so we kind of built this relationship, and I can tell you from the agency, if I put the agency hat on, which I have no hair, so I probably should wear a hat. I need to get me a basketball hat. I should
Yeah,
get a
right.
Mavericks hat because I'm here in Dallas, right? So
Yes.
um, I don't know how you guys would take that. I'm not a big basketball
I
person, so
love Luca.
yeah. So is Mavericks an okay one?
Yeah, they're
It's
great.
not like
They're
Yeah.
awesome.
football where it's the Cowboys and the Eagles and
No,
whatnot.
no.
So, um,
Houston Rockets are bad.
oh, okay. So putting on my agent hat is one thing I remember when before Renew King, when it was Capsule 5. And we were talking originally, and I was really to that point to where I was almost ready to go, and then here I get scooped up by NowCerts. So
Yeah.
um, what I really liked is all the touch points. And what I didn't know was I thought it was you sending me emails, right?
Mm.
Because I mean, that's what they look like. They look like personal emails. It's not like robots. It's not like, some sort of marketing thing where it's constant contact or MailChimp or anything like that. It looks like it comes from you.
Yeah.
And then we talked some other time, and you explained to me how it worked. And I didn't realize at the time, though, is you click on the email and you click on something, and then that generates the next email in a certain time frame. So it's not just like sporadically an email here, email there. It's very timed and very decisive, right? So that stuff is very important. You don't want to get an email that's just out of the blue at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very decisive. So that's very good. And you know, you were our very first vendor with the preferred vendor partner program that we launched here at NowCerts. And Caden can tell you, how many times somebody asks us, why can't NowCerts do this? Why can't NowCerts do that? Why do I need this extra program? How many times, Caden? All the time,
I
right?
every single call I do, I feel like, everyone wants us to
Why?
do everything, but I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
do automation better than us because that's what they mainly do. That's what they're focusing on. So
The biggest thing behind this is this. Why doesn't your Outlook, do PowerPoint slides? Well, that's not what it's designed to do. So the thing is there's no way a single software, no matter how good it is going to be able to do everything. And if we were to design NowSearch to do everything, it would not do everything well.
Yep.
So that's the whole
True.
point is to get NowSearch to do what it's supposed to do, and that's to manage your agency and try to do it as well as possible. And then the other pieces of the puzzle, obviously let other people handle it. Just like when you call your plumber to do plumbing in your house, you don't say, "Hey, can you take a look at this electrical problem I'm having?" Well, yeah, I'll take a look at it, but that doesn't mean he's going to be good at doing that. So that's why it's very important, and that's why partnerships are very important. And one thing I will tell you, knowing you personally, Josh, as well as knowing, your company, your brand is one of the reasons is to bringing you on and making you a partner is, the trust that we've established in the relationship. We know that you're going to take care of our clients just as well as we take care of our own. And obviously, excuse me, that's the bottom line there is taking care of our clients. And we definitely have really good faith in you and in your product. And I know any of the users that end up contacting you and partnering with you are going to have some really good successes. Let's see. I don't see anybody else have any questions. Yeah, we did pretty good there. But yeah, just to wrap it up and kind of reiterate, automation, time saver. The thing is and it's a lot cheaper than hiring a virtual assistant to send out your emails. It's time. There's no fires. It's going to happen when it happens. The return on investment just by Google reviews alone, it's big. Cross-selling, we talked about the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that's out there that somebody bought a boat and they didn't know they should have insurance on it. I have a lot of friends that have RVs. I have trailer insurance on my RV. A lot of people probably don't, right?
Mhm.
But if you don't reach out to your customers, you're never going to get that policy. So well, awesome. So thanks, Josh. Thanks for coming on board and tell us a little bit about Renew King. And I did put some things here on Facebook about, I linked your blog. So I know you're doing a blog entry about NowCerts. And when you're done with that, I'll go ahead and post it on Facebook as well. Another thing here looking at is we went ahead and put a link for our preferred vendor partner program. Somebody wants to contact you, maybe talk a little bit more about Renew King. All they have to do is go to vendors.nowcerts.com, click on Renew King, check it out, fill out the form. Josh will be in touch with you. Yep. And then finally is the big one is the webinar. So it's kind of a maybe not one-on-one exactly, but a little bit more geared towards information and not the sales pitch, because we know you're not that kind of guy, but it's more about information and learning more about your product, your service, and how it works a little bit more in depth. And that's going to be on May 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So. Anything else? Anybody got any questions? Anything else to talk about? When's basketball coming back?
Not soon enough.
Yeah.
Not soon enough.
Yeah, if it's not today, it's not soon.
It's quite interesting is I always tell people that like sports, and I do it myself. I'm really big into football, is I'll go back on YouTube and watch, past performances. And a lot of times they don't tell you who win, right? So I'm watching a game, back in the 90s or whatever, Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys or whatever, and just watching this stuff and, like it's fresh. And then, then it's like, oh, wow, they lost. Right. But it's stuff. So no, good deal.
Well, all us basketball fans have been fulfilling our craving and need with the Jordan
pushed off.
Yeah.
Jordan pushed off.
Yeah, so the Jordan documentary, that's been keeping us going. It's been keeping us alive and remembering those moments from when I was in my bedroom with his posters all over my wall, shooting my Nerf hoop and trying to emulate him.
Yeah, and Utah fans are just trying to pick our heads up after watching that documentary. That's how we're doing.
Now I need to watch it. Is it on Netflix? Where's that?
It's on HBO.
ESPN.
Oh, ESPN.
Oh, yeah, ESPN.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up in the 90s, and that was a big Jordan thing. I was a big Bulls fan, but of course everybody's a Bulls fan really at that point in time. I like the Bulls and the Celtics and Larry Bird and all that, and I'm showing my age. What's quite interesting, and then we'll wrap this up, is my business lawyer, which you're actually talking about, outsourcing things for certain things. So we have a business lawyer that we talk to from time to time. He's down in Dallas, and I was walking to leave, and I came upon a door, and it said the Dirk Nowitzki something foundation. So his foundation is actually in the same building on the same floor, a few floors down from my lawyer and my business lawyer. And I saw him on Facebook the other day where I guess he ran into him and took some pictures. Man, that dude is big.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris isn't a small dude. He's like my height, but looking at the picture, the guy's like, up to the ceiling. Like, wow, that's crazy. But that's good stuff. So
I was actually just teaching my kids. I was teaching my kids about Dirk the other day. I have to have these moments with my boys where I'm like, hey, you need to learn about Dirk Nowitzki. Let's watch this little YouTube video. So they were actually learning about him probably the other day, like this week at some point.
That's awesome. 1 foot fadeaway.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, thanks again, Josh. Thanks for coming on, talking a little bit about Renew King, and
sure.
Yeah, we're definitely looking at doing good things with your partnership here and getting everything set up. And for sure, appreciate you coming along and helping out our users. So.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Nice chatting with you guys. Looking forward to the webinar next week, where it's definitely not a sales pitch. There's a ton of value that I just want to throw out there, ideas on how to engage your customers and things that you can do even without our help to follow up with your customers and improve the customer journey overall. So excited about that, and definitely looking forward to our partnership together.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Josh. Have a good evening. Caden, thanks again. And we'll see everybody else next Thursday for the next happy hour at NowCerts. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night. Good night.
Bye-bye.